Good morning, dear students. In the last class we learnt electric charge distribution. In that we concentrated on continuous distribution of charge. In that we learned three types of distribution of charges: linear charge distribution or linear charge density, surface charge density and volume charge density. Along with that, Gauss theorem also we learnt. So in the last class itself I told you that applications of Gauss law is there. So by using the Gauss theorem, by using continuous distribution of charge, now we are understanding applications of Gauss theorem. There are three major applications are there. I am going to explain one by one. The first one, electric field due to an infinite long uniformly charged wire or a conductor by using Gauss theorem. It was asked in the year July 15 and 16 for 5 marks, most important things. So in order to understand this concept, we need to know what exactly the distribution of charge, what we learnt in the last class. Linear charge distribution we must know, even surface charge distribution, volume charge distribution. Along with these three, we must know what exactly the Gauss theorem states. Then only we can able to understand very clearly about this application. Okay, so look at the diagram. I consider infinitely long uniformly charged wire. This is the wire or a conductor. This is positively charged conductor I consider, having linear charge density. What is linear charge density or linear charge distribution? The charge distributed along a line, it may be straight or curved. We learnt in the last class itself. So look at this, the charges are distributed along a line. So this is linear charge distribution, linear charge density represented by lambda. So here clearly it is indicating that I consider an infinitely long uniformly charged wire or a conductor having linear charge density. And to understand electric field, I need to consider Gaussian surface. Even about the Gaussian surface also we learnt in the last class itself. Gaussian surface is nothing but it is an imaginary closed surface having charged body. Look at this. What I consider the dotted line, I consider a cylindrical Gaussian surface, which is very convenient in case of infinitely long straight wire or a conductor. So I consider cylindrical Gaussian surface. Look at this, Gaussian surface. So whatever the dotted line consider here, that represent cylindrical Gaussian surface, and the radius of the Gaussian surface is R and length of the Gaussian surface is L. Okay, so this is a wire or a conductor having linear charge density lambda, and this dotted cylindrical surface indicates Gaussian surface of radius R and length L. So by using this, we need to calculate electric field due to infinite long uniformly charged wire or a conductor. And one more thing we must know to derive this derivation, that is electric flux. Electric flux is nothing but total number of electric lines of force passing through the given surface normally, and we have an equation for that. Phi is equal to EA cos theta. So let us derive this derivation. So as I explained everything, whatever the things I have considered and everything, now I am finding the electric field due to this conductor or a wire. Now I am going to consider here in this cylindrical surface, this is completely a cylindrical surface, right? In this cylindrical surface, you can notice that from here to here this is curved surface. One curved surface is there, two flat circular surfaces like this. You can imagine This is a cylindrical surface. So forget about these two flat circular surface. The complete thing is curved surface. You just imagine this as a cylindrical Gaussian surface. So the complete from here to here it is curved surface, two flat circular surface. Okay. Now I am going to consider one area element on the curved surface here. On the surface, curved surface, one area element I am considering. So for the curved surface we can give a name as S1, curved surface. Two flat circular surfaces we can give a name as S2 and S3. So here in the curved surface I consider one area element. We know that the direction of electric field is always normal to the surface of a charge conductor. This is the charge conductor. So the direction of electric field is normal, means perpendicular. So direction of electric field will be like this. Electric field will be like this. Now to this area element I am going to write one area vector. What is area vector? Area vector is nothing but the line drawn perpendicular to the area element. To this area element I am taking one perpendicular line that gives area element. So in the same direction only area element is there, that is delta A or delta S also you can write. Look at this, both are parallel to each other. So for this I can give a name as theta 1 is equal to 0 degree. Theta 1 is equal to 0 degree. Look at this. From here to here, curved surface. On the curved surface I consider one area element. This is the area element. So electric field is, the direction of electric field is normal to the surface of a charged conductor, means perpendicular like this it will move. To this area element I am writing one area vector, that is delta A. So area vector and the electric field both are parallel to each other. So theta is equal to 0 degree. Similarly, I am going to consider two more area elements on two flat circular surface. So in this surface, in this surface. So here one more area element I am going to consider. Even this also, the electric field is normal to the surface of a charged conductor. So the direction of electric field. But for this area element also I am writing one area vector. What is area vector? The line perpendicular to the area element. So this is the area element, we need to write perpendicular. So area element will be, area vector will be like this. So for this I can give a name as delta A. Look at this. So for this I can give a name as theta 2, that is 90 degree. Similarly, the flat circular surface, one more we have S3. Here also one area element I am considering. Again the same thing, the electric field is normal to the surface of a charged conductor, so directed away from it. So to this area element again I am writing one area vector. Again area vector is nothing but what? Line perpendicular to the area element. So this is the area element, perpendicular, delta A. So here also theta 3 is equal to 90 degree. Look at the diagram like this, S2 and S3, and S1 is curved surface. Okay. So look at this, S1, S2 and S3. So now we are calculating electric flux through the curved surface S1, then electric flux through the S2, that is a flat circular surface 1, then electric flux through the S3, that is a flat circular surface 3. Separately I am calculating. Okay, I will write here electric flux through curved surface, that is we can give a name as S1, electric flux through the curved surface, delta phi 1. What is the equation for electric flux? E delta A cos theta 1, because here given phi 1, so theta 1. Electric flux through the curved surface. Look at the curved surface. What is the theta 1 we have? Theta 1 is equal to 0 degree. So here you consider area element delta A, so only have written delta phi 1. So cos theta 1 is nothing but 0 degree, cos 0 1. What is the remaining thing? Delta phi 1 is equal to E into delta A. So delta phi 1 is equal to E into delta A. What does the delta A means? So total area of curved surface delta A is nothing but area of curved surface. Area of curved surface is nothing but 2 pi r into L. It's nothing but circumference into length. Then delta phi 1 is equal to E into area of curved surface is nothing but circumference into length, that is 2 pi r into L, that is equation number 1. Electric flux through curved surface S1, so we got it. Delta phi 1 is equal to E into 2 pi RL, equation number 1. Similarly, we are calculating electric flux through flat circular surface S1, sorry S2. S1 is curved surface, S2. So for this same equation, delta phi 2 I am giving E into delta A cos theta 2. Electric flux through flat circular surface S2. Where is S2? Look at this S2. What is theta 2 we have? Theta 2 is equal to 90 degree. So cos theta 2 is 90 degree, cos 90 0. So delta phi 2 is equal to 0 into anything is 0. 0, equation number 2. Electric flux through one more flat circular surface is there, that is S3. Directly I will write S3. Electric flux through S3. Delta phi 3 is equal to E into delta A cos theta 3. Look at the electric flux through flat circular surface S3. What is their theta 3? 90 degree. So theta 3 is equal to 90 degree. Then delta phi 3 is equal to cos 90 is 0. So 0 into anything is 0. So we got equation number 3. Electric flux through the curved surface delta phi 1 E into 2 pi RL. We made it as equation number 1. Then electric flux through flat circular surface S2. So we got 0. Electric flux through flat circular surface S3, we got 0. Why? Because while studying electric flux, we studied that when electric field is perpendicular to the surface, electric flux is maximum. When electric field is parallel to the surface, electric flux is 0. Look at this. If you consider cylindrical surface, look at the direction of electric field. This is the curved surface. To this curved surface, electric field, the direction of electric field is perpendicular, so maximum. Flat circular surface, electric field will be parallel like this. Parallel, 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 parallel. So electric fields are parallel. Here also parallel, parallel, parallel. So in case of S2 and S3, direction of electric field is parallel to the surface, parallel to the surface. So electric flux is 0. Now I am calculating total electric flux through the cylindrical Gaussian surface. Total electric flux. Total electric flux through Gaussian surface, we must add. So phi is equal to delta phi 1 plus delta phi 2 plus delta phi 3. So phi will be only E into 2 pi RL. E into 2 pi R into L. Why? Because here also 0, here also 0. This we can make it as equation number 3. So the total electric flux through Gaussian surface is phi is equal to E into 2 pi RL, equation number 4. Already we had equation number 3, so equation number 4. So now by using total electric flux through the Gaussian surface, the remaining thing we will see now. Just now we got it, total electric flux through Gaussian surface or cylindrical Gaussian surface. Now, since we are deriving by using Gauss theorem, we must know what exactly the Gauss theorem, only the equation for the Gauss theorem. So from Gauss theorem, what is the equation from Gauss theorem? Phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught. That is the equation number 5. Already we learned Gauss theorem. Phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught. That is nothing but total flux through any closed surface is equal to 1 over epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed by the surface, that is phi is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. But the charge enclosed by the Gaussian surface, is linear charge distribution. Charge enclosed by the surface or Gaussian surface. Linear charge distribution, right? What is the equation for linear charge distribution? Lambda is equal to Q by L. We are simplifying for Q. So Q is equal to lambda into L. So for this, give a equation number 6. Now I am substituting equation 6 in phi. Equation 6 in phi. So what is the equation phi? Phi is equal to, in the place of Q I am writing lambda L divided by epsilon naught, equation number 7. Now I can compare equation number 4 and 7. On comparing equation 4 and 7. So just compare equation number 4 and 7, left hand side is same. So E into 2 pi RL is equal to lambda L divided by epsilon naught. So here L get cancelled, the remaining thing E into 2 pi R is equal to lambda divided by epsilon naught. I am taking 2 pi R to the right hand side. So E is equal to lambda divided by 2 pi R epsilon naught, or we can write E is equal to 1 over 2 pi epsilon naught lambda divided by R. So this is the final expression. E is equal to 1 over 2 pi epsilon naught lambda divided by R, which means electric field is inversely proportional to the distance. Electric field is inversely proportional to the distance, which means as the distance, what I have taken the radius, this side also we can write, as the distance increases, can write R. As the distance increases, the magnitude of the electric field goes on decreasing. And I can express in terms of vector form. Vector form, E vector is equal to 1 over 2 pi epsilon naught lambda divided by R, R cap or else P cap you can give. R cap is unit vector in the direction of electric field, in the direction of electric field. So this is in terms of vector form. So this is an expression for electric field due to an infinitely long uniformly charged wire or a conductor by using Gauss theorem. The next application is electric field due to a uniformly charged infinite plane sheet by using Gauss theorem. The same thing. In the first application we used a thin infinitely long uniformly charged wire, but here we are using uniformly charged infinite plane sheet. Look at this plane sheet. So I consider uniformly charged infinite plane sheet having surface charge density sigma, surface charge density. Again I consider cylindrical Gaussian surface. Look at this cylindrical Gaussian surface. This cylindrical Gaussian surface having two end face. There we studied at the flat circular surfaces. No, like that also we can take, not a problem. So here two end faces. This cylindrical Gaussian surface having two end faces, end face 1, end face 2, one curved surface like this, like this. Look at this cylindrical Gaussian surface, end face 1, end face 2, one curved surface, one curved surface. You can imagine. Then we know that the direction of electric field is always normal to the surface of a charged conductor. This is the charged conductor. So the direction of electric field is normal, means perpendicular to the surface of a charged conductor. Look at this, even this side also perpendicular to the surface of a charged conductor. To this area element I am writing area vector. Area vector is nothing but what? The line perpendicular to the area element. This is the area element. To this area element I am writing one perpendicular line. Perpendicular line gives area vector. So here both are parallel to each other. So theta 1 is equal to 0 degree. End face 1 I am writing area vector perpendicular to this surface. Similarly, perpendicular to this surface I am writing one more area element. Area vector, not an area element, it's an area vector. So both are parallel to each other. So theta 2 is equal to 0 degree. Why? Because I have taken end face 2. So theta 2 is equal to 0 degree. To the curved surface, I am writing one area vector. To this surface I am taking one perpendicular line. To this surface I am taking one perpendicular line. This A. So look at now, theta 3 is equal to 90 degree, perpendicular to each other. Electric field, the direction of electric field and the area vectors perpendicular to each other. So theta 3 is equal to 90 degree. Now what we did in case of first application, the same thing we are doing. We are calculating electric flux through end face 1, end face 2 and electric flux through the curved surface. First one, electric flux through end phase 1. Electric flux through end phase 1. So what is the equation, general equation? Phi is equal to EA cos theta. So since it is end phase 1, I am giving phi 1 is equal to EA cos, what is there in end phase 1? Theta 1. But what is theta 1? We have 0 degree. Look at this, theta 1 is equal to 0 degree. So cos 0 1. So phi 1 is equal to E into A, equation number 1. Similarly, electric flux through in phase 2. Where is the in phase 2? Yes. So for this we can give a name as phi 2 is equal to E A cos theta 2. What is theta 2 again? Theta 2 is equal to 0 degree. Cos 0 1. The remaining thing phi 2 is equal to E into A, equation number 2. Now we found electric flux through in phase 1, electric flux through in phase 2. Now we are finding electric flux through the curved surface. Electric flux through the curved surface. So for that we can give phi 3 is equal to E A cos theta 3, since we have taken theta 3. So theta 3 is equal to 90 degree, cos 90 is 0. So phi 3 is equal to 0, equation number 3. Electric flux through in phase 1, electric flux through in phase 2, then electric flux through the curved surface. We got it. Then what is the total electric flux through the Gaussian surface? Total electric flux through Gaussian surface. We need total electric flux. Why? Because we just remember the statement of Gauss theorem. Gauss theorem deals with total electric flux through the closed surface. Total electric flux through the Gaussian surface, phi is equal to, we have to add phi 1 plus phi 2 plus phi 3. So phi is equal to, what is phi 1? We have E into A plus what is phi 2? We have E into A plus what is phi 3? We have 0. So EA plus EA become phi is equal to 2 into EA. 2 into EA, equation number 4. Just we add it. Then from Gauss theorem, same steps we are using what we used in the previous application. From Gauss theorem, we have a equation phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught, equation number 5 from the Gauss theorem. Then the charge enclosed by the Gaussian surface, sigma. Sigma represents what? Surface charge density. Charge enclosed by the Gaussian surface sigma is equal to Q by A. So I am simplifying for Q. So Q become sigma into A, equation number 6. So equation 6 is going to substitute in equation number 5. So equation 6 in 5. Phi is equal to, in the place of Q, sigma into A divided by epsilon naught, equation number 7. Now I can compare equation 7 and 4. So on comparing, here I will write, on comparing equation 4 and 7. Look at the equation number 4. Yeah, equation number 7. Left hand side will cancel. 2EA is equal to sigma A divided by epsilon naught. So AA get cancelled. I am taking 2 to the right hand side. So E is equal to sigma divided by 2 is come to the denominator, 2 will come to the denominator. So E is equal to sigma divided by 2 epsilon naught. So this is the magnitude of the electric field in case of uniformly charged infinite plane sheet by using Gauss theorem. Here one more thing you can notice, it is independent of distance, it does not depends on the distance. Look at the final equation, E is equal to sigma divided by 2 into epsilon naught. There is no r, there is no distance. It is independent of r, it does not depends on the distance. I can write in terms of vector form. Vector form, E vector is equal to sigma divided by 2 epsilon naught n cap. There I given as r cap, here I am giving n cap. N cap is unit vector in the direction of electric field. So in this case the electric field is independent of r. So look at the direction of electric field. The direction of electric field is directed outwards. Suppose this plane sheet is negatively charged, then the direction of electric field is inwards. So this is the second application. So one more application we have, we will discuss in the next class. Thank you.